Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Patience. So today we are going to be making this beautiful layered mesh ruffle hem dress with keyhole neckline and a sheer puff sleeve. So before we get started, kindly click the subscribe button. If you have done that, let's get into it. So I'll be using this 1 yard of crepe fabric for the upper part of the dress, and I'll also be using this 1 yard of satin fabric as the lining on the lower part of the dress, and I'll also be using this 21 yards of mesh fabric. So I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into 2, and I've marked the shoulder line. Right on the shoulder line, I'll mark half of my shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches, and I'll be adding ½ inch for sewing allowance, that is 8.5 inches. So on the 8.5 inches, I'll come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slants. So I'll mark 3 inches for the width of the neck and 3 inches for the depth of the neck, that is for the front neck, and I'll mark 1 inch for the back neck. So I'll make a curve this way. After doing that, I'll mark half of my armhole measurement, which is 8 inches, and I'll mark my shoulder to bust point, which is 10.5 inches, and I'll also mark my shoulder to waist measurement, which is actually 17 inches, but I'll be marking 18 inches because of the bust dart that I'm going to add at the front piece. That is extra 1 inch for the front piece because of the bust dart. Now I'll add ½ inch for sewing allowance, that is 18.5 inches. So I'll extend the lines. So I'll bring down the shoulder measurement on this line, which is the chest line, and I'll connect the points this way. Now I'll mark half of this line, which is 4 inches. So for the back armhole, I'll go in by ½ inch, and for the front armhole, I'll go in by 3/4 inch, and I'll make a slant line to the edge of the shoulder this way. And I'll mark 1/4 of my bust circumference, which is 10.5 inches. So I'll add ½ inch for ease, that is 11 inches, and I'll add 1 inch for side seam allowance. Now I'll curve my armhole this way, that is the front and the back armhole. So I'll slant the shoulder this way, and I'll mark 1/4 of my waist circumference, which is 9 inches, and I'll add 1 inch for sewing allowance. So I'll connect it this way. Now on the bust line, I'll mark my bust pan measurement, and on the side seam here, I'll come down by 1 inch. Now I'll mark 1 inch from the bust pan measurement this way, and I'll make a slant line from this point to this point. So I'll be using 1 inch for my dart, so I'll mark ½ inch on both sides, and I'll create my dart. So when I take in the bust dart, I'll have my exact shoulder to waist measurement, which is 17 inches. Now I'll add ½ inch on the shoulder for sewing allowance, and I'll cut this out. So I'll cut out the back neck and the back armhole because I'll be using this as a pattern to cut out the back piece. So I'll notch the dart this way. Now for the back piece, I've gone ahead to mark the shoulder to waist, which is 17 inches, and I added ½ inch for sewing allowance. So I'll be attaching a zip to the back piece of this dress. So I've gone ahead to mark my 1 inch for zipper allowance. So I'll place the front piece this way, and I'll cut it out. So I'll cut out the neck on the front piece, and I'll also cut out the front armhole. Now on the midpoint of the front piece, I'll be making a keyhole. So I'll mark 3/4 inch from the folded edge this way, and I'll mark the length of the keyhole, that is 4 inches. So I'll make a curve this way and I'll cut it out. So this is my keyhole. Now I'll be cutting out a facing for the keyhole. So I've done that. Now I'll place good sides this way and pin it down. So I've gone ahead to mark 1/2 inch already. Now I'll sew on the 1/2 inch. And I'll also take in the darts. Now on the back piece, to avoid zip bulge, I am going to mark 1/2 inch this way. That is from the zipper line, zipper allowance, the 1 inch for zipper allowance. So from the 1/2 inch, I'm going to make a slant to the edge of the neck this way, and I'll cut it out. So I'm still going to take in my 1 inch for zipper allowance. So on the front piece, I have stitched the dart and also stitched the facing. So I made sure I notched the facing before I ironed, and I'll make sure I serge the edge of the facing. Now I'll be joining the front and the back piece. So I'll place good sides this way, and I'll sew on the 1/2 inch for the shoulder and 1 inch for side seam. So I've done that. I've joined the side seam and also the shoulder. So I just pinned down the zipper allowance. Now I am going to keep this aside. So for the lining, I've gone ahead to mark my waistline. On the waistline, I'll mark 1/4 of my waist circumference, and I'll add 1 inch for side seam allowance, and I'll mark my waist to hip point, which is 9 inches, and I'll mark my waist to knee, which is 26 inches. So I'll mark 26 inches and I'll add 1 inch for hemming allowance, that's 27 inches. So on the hip line, I am going to mark 1/4 of my hip circumference, which is 11 inches. So I'll be adding extra 1.5 inches for ease, that is 12.5 inches. So I'll mark 12.5 inches and I'll add 1 inch for side seam allowance. So on the knee line, I am going to add extra 2 inches on the hip circumference, and I'll add 1 inch for side seam allowance. So I'll connect the points this way. So I'll cut it out. I'll add extra 1/2 inch on the waist for sewing allowance. So I'll be using this to cut out the back piece. So to cut out the back piece, I've marked the 1 inch for zipper allowance. I'll place the front piece this way and cut it out. So I'm going to mark where my zip will stop, that is 4 inches, plus the 17 inches for the upper part of the dress. So from those 4 inches I marked, I will sew on the 1 inch all through, and I'll open the folded edge. So I've done that. As you can see, I folded the edge of the zipper allowance. Now I'll join the front and the back piece. So I'll place good sides this way, and I'll sew on the 1 inch for side seam allowance, and I'll hem. So I've done that. I've joined the side seam and I've hemmed, as you can see. So the next thing I'm going to do is to mark the guidelines that I will use to place the mesh fabric. So to do that, I'll mark the 1/2 inches for sewing allowance on the waist that I'll use to join the upper part of the dress. Now the 1/2 inch is going to be the first layer, and I'll mark 8.5 inches, that is the second layer, and I'll also mark 8.5 inches, that is the third layer, and I'll also mark 8.5 inches for the fourth layer. Now I am going to extend the guidelines all through. I've done that, as you can see. So I have 21 yards of mesh fabric, so I'll keep 1 yard for the sleeve. Now for the 20 yards, I'll be using 5 yards on each layer. So I'm going to cut out 12 inches length for the first layer, starting from the waist, then 13 inches length for the second layer, 14 inches length for the third layer, and 15 inches length for the fourth layer. So I'll place about 3 pieces this way, depends on how full you want it. So I'll use the longest stitch on my sewing machine to sew on 1/2 inch all through the 5 yards, and I'll gather it. So I've done that. This is the first layer, the second layer, the third layer, and the fourth layer. So this is the first layer, that is the 12 inches length. So I stitched on the gathers to keep it in place. Now to attach it to the dress, I am going to fold the edge twice and I'll pin it down. So when I get to the other end of the zipper allowance, I'll also fold in the edge. So I'll sew by 1/2 inch on the guidelines. So I'll do the same thing here. This is the 15 inches length, and this is the 14 inches length, and this is the 13 inches length. So when I get to this point, I will either place good sides and I will join it by 1/2 inch, that is the edge, or I'll fold the edge this way, as you can see, and I'll fold the other edge and I'll overlap it this way. So I've done that. So after sewing, I trimmed the excess, as you can see, at the waist, and I decided to sew the second layer on the other side. So I placed it this way and stitched on the 1/2 inch, and I also cut out the excess, as you can see. I did the same thing on the third layer and the fourth layer. So the next thing I'm going to do is to join the upper part of the dress. So I'll place good sides this way and align the zipper allowance, and I'll also align the side seam, as you can see. So I'll sew by the 1/2 inch all through, and I'll come back and show you. I've done that. I've joined the upper and the lower part, and this is how it came out. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to attach the zip. So I'll place good sides this way, as you can see, and when I'm attaching the zip, I will make sure these parts are aligned. So I've done that, and as you can see, it is aligned. So I've attached the zip. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out the bishop collar. So to do that, I am going to measure the neck. So I marked 3/4 inch unfold for the keyhole neckline, that is 1.5 inches, plus 1/2 inch on both sides to sew the facing, that is 1 inch. So 1.5 inches plus 1 inch, that is 2.5 inches. So starting from 2.5 inches for the keyhole, I'm going to measure all through, and I'll open the zip this way and I'll continue to measure. So what I have here is 19 inches. Now I am also going to measure just the back neckline. So I'll open up the zip this way and place it together, and I'll measure from the zip to the shoulder, that is the back neck, and what I have is 4 inches. Now using a collar interfacing, I am going to draft the bishop collar. So I measured 19 inches for the round neck and 4 inches for the back neck. Now the interfacing is on fold, so I am going to mark half of the round neck, that is 9.5 inches. That is 19 divided by 2. Now from this 9.5 inches, I'll come up by 1.5 inches. And I am going to mark this 4 inch, that is for the back neck. So from the folded edge, I will mark 4 inches for the back neck. And now I am going to make a curve from this 4 inches to the 1.5 inches. Using a curved ruler, I am going to make a curve this way. And after doing that, I am going to mark the width of the bishop collar. So I'll be using 1.5 inches. So I'll mark 1.5 inches all through from the curved line. Again, I am going to mark half of the round neck measurement, which is 9.5 inches on this new curved line. So after doing that, I am going to join this 9.5 inches to the top line, and I am not going to connect it straight. I will make a slant line at angle 45 degrees this way. Now I am going to mark B as the back neck here and also here, and I'll write F as the front neck. So I will cut this out. And I'll also write F here as the front. So I'll cut out the folded edge, that is the center back, and I'm going to place it this way. So this is the back and this is the front. Now I've gone ahead to iron it on the fabric, and I marked 1/2 inch all through and cut it out. So I cut out another fabric, and I am going to place good sides this way. So I'll be making a button loop, and I've gone ahead to cut this out. I cut out 1.5 inch of fabric, folded it and stitched on 1/2 inch and turned it inside out. Then I folded it again, making it as tiny as possible. So I'll be making 2 of this, depends on the size of the button you want to use. Now what I'm going to do is I'll fold this 1/2 inch and I'll start sewing from this point all the way to this point. And when I get to this point, I'll fix the loop. So I'll fold it this way. I will make sure the folded edge is inside, and I am going to sew. So I'll do the same thing here. And I am going to fold in this other 1/2 inch and stitch to this point. So I've done that. I folded this 1/2 inch and started sewing from the 1/2 inch to this point, and I also folded this other 1/2 inch, as you can see. Now I am going to cut it out, and I'll notch. So after doing that, I'll bring it inside out, and I'll make sure I iron it. So I've done that, and as you can see, it has taken shape. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to attach it to the dress. So I'll cut out this excess zip. Now from the wrong side of the dress, I am going to align the collar this way, using the 1/2 inch of the other collar without interfacing. So I'll align it and pin it down all through. Now when I get to this point, I will mark the 2.5 inches for the keyhole, and I'll align the other edge this way from the 2.5 inches and pin it down. After doing that, I'll sew on 1/2 inch all through. I've done that. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'll push in the raw edges, and I'll use the other 1/2 inch to top stitch. As you can see, so I'll top stitch from the right side. So when I get to this point, I am going to fold both the 1/2 inch this way, and I'll continue to top stitch. So I've done that, I've top stitched, and this is how it came out. So it came out really neat. So I'll be attaching my button. Now for the sleeve, the total length of the sleeve is going to be 25 inches. So I've gone ahead to cut this out, and the length is 21 inches. I'll be using 1/2 inch to join to the band. So I added extra inches on the wrist because I'm going to be making a ruffle. Now I'll sew on the 1/2 inch for side seam allowance. So as you can see, I cut out both sleeves, and for the band I am going to use 4.5 inches length. So I've gone ahead to cut it out, and I cut it out on fold, as you can see. So the length of the band is 4.5 inches. I added 1/2 inch for sewing allowance, that is 5 inches, and the width is the round wrist, that is 9.5 inches. I added 1/2 inch for sewing allowance. So I'll open it up this way and place good sides together this way, and sew on the 1/2 inch for sewing allowance. So I've joined the side seam on the sleeve, and I used the longest stitch on my sewing machine to sew 1/2 inch all through the wrist of the sleeve, and I'll gather it. So for the band, I've joined the 1/2 inch, and this is how it came out, and I made sure I notched before I turn it over. So this is how it came out, and now I am going to attach it to the sleeve. So I'll place good sides this way, and I'll align it and pin it down. And I'll sew by the 1/2 inch for sewing allowance. So this is how it is going to come out. I'll do the same thing on the other sleeve, and I'll attach it to the dress. So I've done that, and I've also attached the button, as you can see, and this is how really beautiful and neat it came out. So I'll make sure I serge all through the inner part of the dress for it to come out neat. So we have come to the end of this tutorials, guys. If this was helpful, kindly give this video a thumbs up and also click on the subscribe button, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell to be updated when I upload a new video. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.